Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Oh Look It's a Squirrel. So this video a little bit different. I thought I'd just kind of give a little bit of a description, I guess, of the situation I'm in. So we'll start off with what I'm actually doing, or what my life entails, basically. So currently, I'm a full-time 24/7 carer for my dad, who's 89 and has been through a whole plethora of pretty insane illnesses, from strokes and TIAs and the immune system, destroying things. So when it comes down to this whole thing, it's very difficult. It's super difficult for me because of, one, the way I think and what I know, and also the respect I have for my dad on what he thinks or how he thinks and what he knows. Whether it's right or wrong for either of us doesn't come into this situation because of the love and bond that we have together. Now, I've done it for 2 years. It's difficult. It's really, really, really one of the most testing times I think I've ever experienced in my life. I don't want to go into too much detail because it's not your problem. And I'm only doing this just so you understand why I'm not out there protesting, why I'm not doing more than this, what I'm doing right now. Because I don't have the ability to do it. I don't have the time to do it. There's no days off. In fact, that's one of the most difficult things, is not having any kind of I forget what the word is. Just had it in my head, but it's gone. But not have any reset time. It's the reason I have these. It's the reason I have so many of these. It's something for my peace of mind. It's something for my anxiety. It's something for my switch off. My switch that stops me looking at all this stuff. Stops me listening to the people I love to listen to, and just have that slight disconnect at least a couple of times a day from all of it, from everything. Like currently right now, I'm using my switch time to provide you with this little video, just to add a little bit of insight to why and what I'm doing. I lived in Thailand for 7 years and Malaysia for 6 years. And one thing I came out of Asia with was, I came out with a lot more, but one thing that really, really stuck in my mind was I was sat outside a 7-Eleven once, having a cigarette and I don't know, some iced coffee or something. And a monk came and sat down next to me. And I'm not religious. I have no belief system when it comes to gods and all that kind of stuff. I don't have that as a system to rule my life. And I sat there and said, "How are you?" Obviously in Thai. And he spoke a little bit of English. And he asked me a few questions. "Oh, what are you doing here?" Usual stuff. And after about 3 questions of, what do you do? How do you like it? He said, "Where are your parents?" And I said, "They're in England." And he said, "How old are they?" I told him how old they were. and he said, what do English people do when people get old?" And I said, "The majority of people put their parents in care homes." And he looked at me as if like that was stark raving mad. And he said, "Do you think that's a good thing?" And I said, "No, not at all." And he said, "Because the reason I ask, let me get this right." He said, "The reason I ask is I speak to a lot of people. We were in a not a common tourist area, because I just didn't want to live in a touristy area of Thailand. After the first 6 months, it was just like a nightmare. That whole Koh Sam Road thing, and it was just like chaos and flashing lights and bullshit all the time. So I moved out into kind of suburby area, and there was a decent apartment, blah blah, because it was so cheap, and it was right next to a temple. And funny enough, I'd seen this guy a few times, but he said one thing to me that was, I thought, it just stuck with me. It was like someone had just put a nail in there. That's got to be with you forever. He said, "So what do you plan to do?" And I said, "Well, I don't believe in the care home thing. I think that you should really take care of your parents." And he just looked at me and he said, "You know that your parents were there for your first breath, and you should be there for their last, no matter what. Because they didn't give up on you, and you should not give up on them." And it had a profound effect on me. And I think that day I called my mum and dad and I said, "When the day comes, I'm coming home and I'm going to be there. You're not going to have to pay for a care home. You're not going to have to do any of that kind of stuff. I'm going to be there for you." And they were like, yeah, whatever. I don't think they actually took it seriously. So time went on. I left Asia, came back here. I lived down south for 5-6 years. And then my mum passed. And not only was that completely mind-bending, and it was just before COVID. It was 2019, kind of November time. So it was literally that far away from it. Now, this will sound completely mad, but my dad had a stroke when my mum went into hospital. And I mean a severe one, like taken out, that far away from done. And COVID. It was a very confusing time, because not only had I just lost one, but I thought I was going to lose another one. And just to put this into a bit of context, is Mum got a bit ill when I was here up for a weekend. She got a bit ill. She felt a bit funny and whatever, and then she started to be sick, but constantly. And I was like, "This is very odd." Rang 101, I think it was. And they said, they told me to look out for certain things. I said, "Yeah, no, there's that. And they said, "I'm going to send an ambulance." So, okay, fair enough. Not thinking too much into it. Just thought, because Mum was, I think, 80, it was just kind of the thing to do. So, Mum went into hospital. Dad was okay. Mum started to recover. And so I was in this house by myself. And I thought, I better go back to Portsmouth. Obviously, I had a job and all the usual stuff, rent, house, blah, blah. I got to Portsmouth within an hour of me arriving. Sisters rang me saying, so it's like 4.5 hours to drive from here to the other house. I was there about an hour. I just unpacked my bags, put my work clothes on, and got a phone call saying, just found Dad in the shower. He's been there for 3 hours, and because Dad was fine, he was absolutely fine, and I was going to come back within a few days anyway, and it was just to go back. I had a lot of fish, girlfriend, the usual stuff, and I had to sort of just blend that, get all that sorted out, and then come back. I was there an hour. Phone call. Dad's had a stroke. Huge. In the shower. Ambulance are here. Take him to hospital. Just like another whack, like huge whack. And I literally took my clothes off, picked the bag up that I had not unpacked properly yet, jumped straight back in the car and came back up here. Got here, went through all the usual stuff. Dad was in an absolute mess. As we arrived, phone call from the hospital saying Mum might need a such and such, I can't remember the exact terms, but a procedure on her heart. And we were like, Jesus Christ, it's just this one after another, this kind of bang, 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 bang. And it was testing. It was really, really testing. So I stayed up for a couple of days, going to hospitals. Dad was in one, Mum was in another, so I was going over there for an hour, was going to the next one for an hour, and because you obviously can't stay there for 12 hours, there was visiting times, blah blah. When the visiting times finished, I came back, and Mum had already said to me, look, go and do your thing, don't worry about me. Dad was in fairyland, didn't know who I was, didn't know who my sister was, didn't know anything. It was just out of this world, talking about hallucinations and Germans in the ward at night with guns and fly past aircraft flying past, people visiting him. Some really awful hallucinations of someone attacked him, and it was trying to figure out with some of these. Some of them were so off the head, you were just like, yeah, okay, and some were like, really? We've got to look into that. Someone attacked you at night. It's just like, it was absolutely mad. So you can imagine all the stress of everything all started to pile up on top. And I came back, and basically went back down south just for I think 24 hours. It's like it happened again. I got down there, and within, I think, 10 minutes of me getting through the door to my house, phone call. We need to get up here real quick. Mum's in a bad way. So back in the car, 4-hour drive back up. Now, I got a phone call in the car about 15 minutes in saying, I hate to say it, but you need to get here as fast as possible. I was like, I drove like a fucking lunatic. I mean, I went through every speed camera. I went flashing people out of the way. I drove like I was running from a tidal wave. I drove like an idiot, and I apologise to everybody who I flashed, told to get out of the way. I was waving. I was doing I won't even say, but I was doing like mental speeds. I don't think one car overtook me in a 4-hour journey. And when I got there, this is really hard to talk about. I have to just a minute. When I got there, sister's husband was waiting outside, and he was like, mate, come on. And I got up there, and I had, this is conservative, I had a minute before my mum passed away. Literally a minute. and it was as if she'd waited. She'd waited for me to get there. God, this is really hard to talk about, but I just wanted to give you a background of where I am in all this and what else has happened apart from all this shit that's going on outside. And it was ridiculous. It was the most nightmarish thing I can think of that could ever happen to somebody when it comes to, and I mean that without going through things like earthquakes. And for the way it played out, it was just this: everything's fine, no it's not, yes it is, no it's not, yes it is. And this was not even thinking about that my dad was in another hospital. And listen, let's just round that up. That's why I'm caring for my father at this moment and can't do much else, because I do want to be here for his last breath. And I recommend to anybody listening to this that if you can, be there. Fucking be there. If you can afford, I know a lot of people, majority of people are not in a position to do it. Luckily, I don't have a wife, a kid, kids, mortgages, loans, stuff that would tie me down into being not available for this position. But if you are listening to this and you're in a position that you can do that, believe me, it's the most rewarding thing I think I've ever experienced. So going along with the most nightmarish thing I've ever experienced, to in the same breath saying it was the most rewarding thing I think I've ever experienced. And I would recommend it to anybody who can. Because as you get older, it's phone calls and a bit of video call, and you go and visit them every so often and things like that. Because I did that because I was so far away. I was away for 13, 14 years. And it all sort of calculated into, this is what you should do. This is what you need to do. So that's where I am. And like I say, if you can do it, do it. Just do it. Sacrifice everything. Because I think the only important thing in this world, the only important thing in this world is love. It beats everything. It's the most valuable thing, I think. Yeah, it hands down. It's the most valuable thing available to humanity. And, not everyone's in my position. And you might have love. I don't mean plutonic love, like I love, beef sandwiches or whatever, or sausage rolls, whatever. I'm talking about inside. That thing. That blood-based love. It's a magnificent thing. And if you do what I'm doing, you'll experience it every single day. Every day. No matter the distress, the things you have to go through, watching someone deteriorate. Listen, do it. It's the joy and the giving back. It's incomprehensible. There's no words that will describe the feeling that you'll get doing what I'm doing. And prepare. You're not going to get paid very much. You get an allowance. You're not allowed to work, and if you do, it's only for, I don't know, $150 a week. But to get $250 a month, or £195, whatever it is, it's still worth it. It's so worth it. Like I'm 24/7, so I can't go out and get another job and subsidise a bit of extra income and whatever. I can do a bit of stuff online, which I am doing, but again, I can only earn, I think it's very tiny amount before they then take away the allowances, and it starts to affect the allowances my dad gets and things like that. So you've got to be really careful. But again, it's probably the most underpaid job in the world when it comes to importance. I'm not talking about like India or blah blah. Obviously, there's people earning a billion times less than I am. But for the society I live in, the country I live in, it's peanut dust. It's not even peanuts, but it's worth it. I promise you, it's worth it. So listen, bit long, 21 minutes. Whoops. Just have a think about that. Just have a think about what I said. So listen, it's why, to be honest, it's why I shut off every single video with take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones, because love is important, especially family. Disagreements, agreements, arguments, no comparison. You can have all those and still have that. You know what I mean? So listen, take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones, and I hope that gives you a little bit of insight into who you're listening to. Yeah, see you on the next one.
Don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like or dislike.